So I realised I forgot something. The mounting holes required on this back panel. I already quickly drew out some of these holes, relatively evenly spaced. So I'll just go ahead and get these extruded. Press Q to extrude it. And oops, no, wrong option. To object. So cutting to the back here. It's only cutting the rear panel. So there we go. Now we have some well placed holes. I'm just going to select the profiles of these on their outside. And we want to add a chamfer. Now the chamfer is going to depend on the size of your bolts that you have in the end. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use, but depending how you cut these, you can just adjust it later on. I'm just going to get this down roughly, see how it looks. That looks pretty good. That looks pretty nice. And I'll do the computer aided machining for this because the blank panel I have at the moment, I will cut these out on that single panel, but I'll also update the total CAM file for when I do the second speaker, because of course this is a stereo set. The first one is turning out to be a bit of a test or prototype. So I'll just isolate this again. Go back into, actually I will duplicate it. Let's put you in the here. Oops. The other thing I'll do, the jams I have for the back of this, I might do a cam cutout for that as well, a cam profile cutout. I had an idea of how I can align them all. Because my table saw is not the best. The blade is never 90 degrees for starters, so it's always slightly out. Where did that go? Here we go. Now we want to move a point to point. So move that point to there. Move. There we go. If I go back into the manufacture space, edit this. Where was it? So under bodies, we're going to re-add that body. And select our axis faces again. Select our stop box point again. Why is it using over there? There we go. So I keep saying there's missing references. That's because I removed the previous one. So I'm just going to select all these holes again. But we now have the holes for the actual screw mounts. And those go all the way through, nice and easy. And we just have to go through for every one of these. I'm going to delete the original, select the new one. So it looks like a bit of a big gap there, but that's just because, yes, our point here is offset because of our fillet. So delete that, just select here. Wait for it to update. Yes, don't need to do anything for that. Don't need to do anything for you either, or you, or you, or you. What I will do though is duplicate this. Move you to the end, I guess. I'm just using the chamfer mill. I'm going to remove these geometries because I'm not going to countersink those. And as a bit of a cheat, we'll disable this and set our minimum height to our selection. Now, see, it's still not matching exactly. Yeah, so we want an offset. There we go, looks about right. 1.5, 1.8. There we go. So that's going to give us our chamfers, and you can adjust the height of that, and that'll widen the hole or shrink it. Once again, get the exact radius that you're going to need for your whatever screws you have. And for these remaining operations, I'll just set them to generate. And wait a minute. There we go. So that looks good. I never used this, so I might delete this operation. I was too afraid because it's such a small chamfer. The boards, I mean, I just sanded it out. It looked pretty much fine. But if I do it via the CNC machine, I'm not sure how flat this is going to be. So you might have a slightly offset chamfer, which doesn't matter for something big, but for something tiny, you might see it because it will be a narrow hair here, but here it will be gouged out to like a millimeter or something like that. Whatever, such a big difference, you don't notice it with a wide chamfer. Now, some other things I noticed, these cuts were very fluffy, so I think I'll just cut through it fast. And this could be sped up as well. This can be sped up. for a final cut here. It was quite slow. Can't remember if I sped this up because I've got quite a good finish with it, so I'll just leave it for now. So I've changed that. Might just set the clearance height to 0.5mm and set this to 1.7, so it'll cut a bit more in one go. Now this one, so this was very slow. I'll set this to a normal high speed and I'll double check, where is it? Yeah, finish cut rate. So that'll cut relatively faster now, and I'll copy that over for this. Just double check, yep, so it's over there as well. I'll double check the speeds that this goes in at. Yep, so it plunges in relatively slowly. Retract is way too slow. Now, where is drilling method? Drilling full retracts, so we'll peck down to do 6mm. Oops, I'm editing the wrong thing with that. Here we go, I want to edit the actual drilling operation. There we go, full retract. 5mm, it'll cut in, then pull out to let all the dust and shit out. I might just lower this to 2mm. Sorry, I've moved this. So the first set of operations uses the same bit. So all those will be done in one go now. Then next you have the drilling operation. Drilling operation can't really fail, so I'm going to move that to the end here. Move this to here. So that's the flat surfacing bit, and these three use the chamfer bit, then these are actually drilled out. So if we look at the machining time, there we go, 35 minutes, so that's much quicker now. I'm always overly cautious when I first start a new project on the CNC machine. So yeah, this board will have all the proper holes in it, and I will also do the jams in a moment. Alright, so I've made the interlocking jams that I mentioned before, and these sort of struts that not only strengthen it, they'll give me a block so I can so I can place the height of these appropriately when I'm gluing this down, because there's actually a gap between the jamb and the back of this board, because there's going to be a seal in there, so I've just left 1 millimeter of space for that. So I will show you the bits in more detail, I guess. I really should name them, but oh well. So these should be able to cut these out, because here you have the rounded edge where that 6 millimeter bit's going to come in and then stop. But here I also have just a matching rounded edge, and this will be flipped around, like when it's cut. It'll be cutting, you know, on the same axis, so the bit can cut into here and it can just level around here as well. So I can easily cut these on the CNC machine, and they'll be all precise and locked together. It should be pretty easy to do. The way I made it is just from just this one sketch here. Oops, wrong ones. So this one. So that outer border is just the inner dimensions of the box. I've just given a 22 millimeter thickness for my overall jambs, and the 5 millimeter inset for here, and then a 3 millimeter radius fillet joining this, and then just extrude it all appropriately. So I extrude this section by 8 millimeters, and then I select these inner bits and extrude that again by a join function from the 8 millimeter bit I just extruded. So that joins them together, and you get that specific look. Not look, you get this stepping here. So yeah, I will proceed to lay these out and do the cam for them. I will just copy these all. I can go into orthographic mode, and I can start arranging things. I might stack them around here. I'm going to duplicate this. Just clear all those. So we're now cutting out these shapes. Actually, I will delete these because I have a offset which is going to upset those. So all those look good. Now, what I might do is do a negative, just a tiny amount, so there's a bit of slop with these so they can more easily fit each other. Actually, I'll do that. Yeah, that'll be fine. So that'll actually cut flush up into here, plus a tiny bit extra. So all these should fit most definitely. I'm going to duplicate this again. I'll leave that on. I'll do 0 offset for the height. And we're only going to do these chains. The little locking arms. Oops. And that should have all appropriate offsets. Yep. That looks wonderful. Now, what is this? Open passes and link on both ways, zigzag wrap. Not sure what that means. But according to these toolpaths, it looks fine. Just going to double check the speeds. Yep. Fair bit of space between these, so I might push these up a bit, just in the design space. Oops. $3mm. This will set by 3mm. Go back to manufacture. I'm just going to do a generate all and wait. So we have the contours with the offsets. Looks good. And these contours, yeah, that's a more narrower space between them. And then our channels cut here. And then just the rest of the processes. So if I do a simulation, let's get rid of the toolpaths. So these are what all the bits look like, and they match pretty well. Yep, that looks good. So let's see how long this is. Now it's 45 minutes. Yeah, it hasn't added too much. The extra 10 or so minutes is well worth it, because these bits will just slot together fine and easily. It'll make assembling the second speaker way easier.